Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Griot's Garage YouTube Live. I am Nick.
I'm Sam.
And today we are going to be talking about RV washing.
Yeah, RVs, trailers, campers, whatever it may be that is bigger than your normal vehicle and has a lot of similar surfaces, but some differences as well, and much larger surfaces to take care of.
Yeah, definitely some critical elements to include, but a lot of stuff that we take for granted on smaller sized cars that when applied to scale can actually save you a lot of time, make this a lot easier. Generally in the summertime we do these lives on different types of vehicles because those are the toys you bring out and play with in the good weather. And in fact, you just took this on a camping trip, so it is soiled. Obviously, it's something you own, so it's well maintained in general.
Yeah, not super dirty.
But we have still a lot of square footage, a lot of height to cover. We have some specific systems, but a lot of what we're going to show you is things that you've probably heard us talk about before, just applied directly to an RV. I also want to note that this is going to be pre-recorded just because we were juggling availability of RVs.
Yeah.
And time of day. But as you are watching this, we will have Griot's Garage employees in the chat to respond to your questions in real time. And then, of course, we will have a no questions left behind to follow this to answer all the questions that we aren't able to address live.
Yep. Yeah, since we aren't talking to you live today, we'll get to all your questions after. But hopefully we answer a lot of them in the content that we're going to cover today. Like Nick said, a lot of the processes are the same, a lot of the products are the same, but we do have some pretty handy tips and tricks when you're doing large vehicles. I think by most people's standards, this is a small RV or trailer. So it is going to get even more vast than this when it comes to issues with washing outside and products drying on the surface, or just covering ground efficiently enough to not have to spend an entire day washing your RV or trailer.
Yeah, and hopefully, it's the summertime. You've got a road trip planned. You're going out and using your RV if you have one, or your trailer, or your fifth wheel, or whatever it is. This is, I'd say, soiled, but lightly so. What we're going to coach you about is stuff that could be done, as you're putting it away for the winter, or easy preparatory steps ahead of a road trip to make your post-road trip cleanup easier. And then just in general, if you've got some lingering conditions from exterior storage or things like that, you don't have the luxury of oversized barn to store your RV in. Even so, you're going to have some things to deal with as you pull it out for the season. But this should be applicable year-round to RV care. So we're going to talk pretty broadly. Obviously, it's up to you all with your specific questions in the comments. We will have some leeway to do some giveaways based upon participation in the chat, as always. So whoever ends up moderating, whether it's you, Sam, or you, Stevie, or Julie, we'll be giving away an enthusiast wheel and tire kit, because RVs do have wheels and tires that get pretty grubby.
Yep.
Including if you've got some off-road capability and you're going to go stick this in a off-grid campsite, you're going to get those all nasty.
And they sit for a while, so RV trailer tires tend to be more susceptible to tire blooming than tires that are used frequently.
Yeah, and we won't cover every specific step around your black water, gray water, and all the specific RV systems, which we are all novices on. We're going to talk about the aesthetics, ease of care, and how applicable Griot's Garage products are to RV systems. How you can take your car stuff and translate it to different systems, as we've done with boats, ATVs and UTVs, and motorcycles in the past.
Yeah, and sticking mainly to exterior today, of course, I'm sure you guys will ask some questions about interior, which we'll answer in the no questions left behind. A lot of that tends to be a simpler approach, since most RV or trailer interiors are going to be similar to surfaces you're cleaning in your home. When it comes to handling those, there are a lot of our products that are applicable there. I have several of them inside my trailer, glass cleaner, interior cleaner, all the basics.
Also a little different if your wife is really particular about specific chemicals in a living space.
Yes.
I know enough about our chemicals that I'm comfortable using all of them. But you do have kitchen spaces and food safe spaces that we won't necessarily address with our products. But if you've got leather seating systems, you've got vinyl seating systems, you've got glass, all of those things can go into the interior. So that's pretty straight over tackle, easy. We're talking about the exterior, the hard part. How you keep your home inside, that's not our business.
Yeah.
But you can use a lot of Griot's Garage products in there, in particular if you don't want to buy net new stuff. But just keep in mind, food safe materials will treat differently, and we won't even speak to them.
Yep.
You can discuss that with your significant other.
Yep. So we do have a few new events coming up. Of course, it is right in the heart of event season, being that we're already in mid-July, hard to believe. Radwood, North California. Radwood, NorCal is July 20th at Pier 3032 in San Francisco. That's a pretty sweet location for a Radwood event.
Home base. That one's going to be, that's always an awesome venue, and the Cali crowd shows up hard to support Art and Warren and all the Radwood guys. So that's a big one.
Tons of car culture there in the Bay Area.
Now we'll have a booth there. We're proud to support Radwood. We're children of the 80s. Actually, you're 90s, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're in the Radwood era. All right.
Right on the cusp.
And then we have kind of one of our biggest shows here of the year in our Tacoma headquarters. We are the title sponsor for the Griot's Garage 36th Annual Pacific Northwest Nationals. And we're going to have the kickoff party here on Thursday night, July 25th from 2 to 6 p.m. And then we will have a massive setup and presence at the Puyallup Fairgrounds that entire weekend. So you'll see a lot of the staff that works in all corners of the operation here. I'm going to bring out a couple family vehicles that are in the hot rod category. So you'll see me rolling that dirty, nasty, stinking Lincoln out to good guys, because I'll actually be here this year. So very excited about that one.
Yeah, that's a really fun show. And you announced the kickoff party, right?
Yeah.
The actual dates of the Pacific Northwest Nationals are the 26th through the 28th. So it runs all weekend at the Washington State Fairgrounds, better known around here as Puyallup Fairgrounds, depending on if you're from the area for a while or not. But yeah, really fun show, and we'll have the whole, well, not the whole team, but a lot of folks out there since it's local.
You'll see me there a couple days. Don't hesitate to come and say hi. And if I don't talk to you too long, it's because my kids are upset, sweaty, or just crashed from eating 10 pounds of cotton candy. But love to say hi to you all. So if you're in the Northwest going to that show, that's a big one.
And then we have Hot August Nights, August 4th through the 11th at the infamous Peppermill Resort Spa and Casino in Reno, Nevada. So Hot August Nights, gosh, runs late into the day.
10 till whenever. 10 a.m. till everybody goes to sleep. Which
probably one of the longest hour shows of them all.
It's a grind. I've been most injured at that show of all the shows I've worked historically. Then the coup de grace, our pilgrimage back to the Monterey Bay Area for Monterey Car Week. We will be at the Rolex reunion. Richard and I will be racing there. That is from 14th to the 17th. So if you're unfamiliar, they've moved the racing up to end on Saturday. So we'll be hot and driving a couple cars, and then we'll have our booth in the newly aligned vendor area, and then I'll be participating in the Bring a Trailer alumni event with a mystery car. So see you all down there. Nice. And then as part of that show, we also support the Legends of the Autobahn, which takes place on the 15th. That's going to be at the Pacific Grove Links. So if you're part of BMW CCA, Mercedes-Benz Club of America, Audi Club of America, it's kind of the other German brands that are still absolutely awesome that aren't Porsche. So at the same time, we'll be doing the Works reunion down in Monterey on the 16th. Thankfully, Porsche and BMW have gotten along, so the days are separate now.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
You can see it all. And that's at the Monterey Pines Golf Course, and we'll have booths at all those shows. Again, Richard and I will be racing. We'll be at the booth. We love seeing you all. That's where this company was started. It's important for us to be there every year, and we do it big for that as well.
And of course, don't forget to sign up for our promo emails to be notified of all of our sales and giveaways. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you don't miss a thing.
Yeah, these live formats are always fun. We cover a lot of ground. So if it's your first time to one of these and you're just here for RV, we've got a multitude of videos on our YouTube channel for specific products, specific processes, and you can learn a lot from the hours and hours that Sam and I are on film talking about this stuff. We still get excited about it every time. Let's clean this RV, man.
Let's do it. Let's get into washing. So of course, you know, we're lucky enough here to have a space where we can fit this inside, but I have washed it at home twice since I bought it in February, and a little more challenging at home. You know, they are big, so depending on where it's at, you may have room. It may be, you know, up against side of a garage or something like that where you don't have as much room, so space can be an issue. And then of course sun, as it is a problem with, you know, washing a smaller vehicle, all of that's going to be amplified on a large vehicle. So one of the best ways to overcome that is just washing in sections, you know, keeping it small. Don't cover the entire thing in foam and expect your foam to still be wet on the other side after you work your way around. Spotting can be a big issue, especially if you know, you have oxidation, things like that already occurring that you haven't taken care of. So making sure that you're not washing in direct sun or on a hot surface. Obviously these are harder to move than a car, so you may need to do, you know, one side in the morning, one side in the evening as the sun moves, and split up the process like that to prevent, you know, washing right in direct sun.
Yeah, I'd just be realistic about what you're able to accomplish, and you know, this could be an all-day thing, and you know, ultimately the basics of washing will happen the most, and we've got some tools that will definitely speed it up. But good thing about linear feet, and in particular one that's as fragmented, is I know when I would detail RVs in the past, I'd pick a marker, right?
Yeah.
And I would focus on that area and pretty much get it clean before going to a secondary section. And that's annoying. But what's more annoying is this enormous 8-foot tall billboard in a darker color with water spots or soap scum that you then have to go clean again. So RV washing, not easy. I know when I would detail, I'd charge by the foot. And if there were an exceptional height, like a big motor coach, knowing that, man, I really had my work cut out for me. So it was a kind of, you know, a la carte detailing process. But that simple breakup is definitely one way to keep track of where you've washed, and then also minimize some of that sun and or weather challenges. And then, yeah, how much energy do you have? Do you wake up jumping for joy to go wash an RV? I don't think I ever have in my life or ever will. But you can definitely do resets in cooler times of the year, and we'll talk about that concept. But in the heat of the summer, when the sun's up early and you may not have an ideal place to wash it, sections, being patient, maybe going inside when you've washed one side until the sun passes over, going to the other. You know, you don't have to do it in a specific sequence outside of, you know, the correct washing steps we'll coach you with. One of the things you also spoke about is spotting.
Yeah.
And so we've talked a lot about water, not only for preventing, you know, hard water spotting and mineral deposits and how annoying that can be, again, on a billboard this big, but then optimization of foam and the chemical work, which will be critical to making this job easier. Harder water will kill your foam output, will make your foam a little runnier, and less effective and run off the vehicle faster, giving you even less time in lubrication on a straight, flat, up and down vertical surface. And then on your rinse, if you've got a water treatment, you aren't going to leave as dirty a water behind, lower the likelihood of spotting. Now, it's not really realistic to suggest I could wash this surface and then dry it immediately and not presume it's going to get wet. I'll not see it and create the same problem. The segmenting is more for deliberate process and working in a manner that you can track. But a deionization system in particular, if you're storing this out on, you know, the outskirts of your property, you got irrigation or well water that isn't the same as the water that goes to your home, clean that water up. You're going to love yourself for that expense. You have an RV, you've made that investment, you're about to invest a lot of your time. You know, our deionization system starts at $400. You're going to save that money right away in terms of frustration. So
not a surface you want to have to polish water spots out of ideally. So getting good protection on there will help prevent that as well.
And even what we talked about, just the sun and timing.
Yeah.
We had a bead on a 42-foot trailer or standalone Class C motorhome, and we had looked at where we were going to wash it outside, and we're going to position it to be able to do one half, right, the front and one side, and then would wait for the sun to bounce over before we approach the other side.
Yep.
So if you can't turn the thing around, just look up at the God in the sky, and the sun god at least, and and time it that way. So sorry if I cut you off, but
no.
We found one that fits inside, so we're blessed today, but really just be conscious of that if you can't clean your water up.
Yeah, it's probably one of the trickiest parts of washing such a large vehicle. Even if you can clean the water up, soap drying and stuff like that is going to be a problem if you're in direct sun. And then the roof, which is hard to get out of the sunlight unless you're doing it really early or really late in the evening. I know when I did mine, I started on the roof first. Mine's parked, the sides are in the shade for the majority of the day where mine is parked on the side of my house. So I got after the roof first, which you're gonna wanna do anyways. RVs with flat roof and a lot of structure up there in terms of the vents and AC units and
solar
panels, satellites, antennas, whatever you may have installed. You got a lot of places for pine needles and grit to collect and build up. So I think I ended up rinsing my roof 4 times before I was to the point where I wasn't blowing crap out that was gonna get in the gutters and run down the sides and issues like that.
Speaking to one element of RV maintenance, like one of the places that with lack of continuous care can create major issues for the rest of your RV is your roof. The organic material that will build up and then dry and crack some of those silicone seals, leading to roof leaks. Black streak accumulation, which is a common RV problem that's really due to not cleaning it consistently because nobody's climbing up on the roof. So we've got a couple tools that should help make roof access easier, or if you've got a ladder and you trust yourself, that's a great tip. Start up there first, early and often. It also speaks to the need for some high pressure, delivery with either a pressure washer, or if you're concerned about the amount of openings up there, hand washing, but just get up there and do it. It'll make your life easier long term.
Yeah, it's the worst thing to spend all that time cleaning the sides, not tend to the roof, and then get black streaks running down.
Then go up last and rinse all that crap down on the sides in hot weather. It dries on the sides, creates more damage on your just clean surface. So top to bottom is still king, guys. We're not, but the roof is, you can't stand on a lot of vehicle roofs like you can an RV roof. And I just think there's more liability in not cleaning your roof because of all the systems that live up there and the structural seams and seals that can have accelerated degradation. One, they're catching the most UV, and 2, you get something organic on there or inorganic that you picked up on a road trip that's exacerbating the dry rot on those seams. That's a lot worse work to be up on there on your hands and knees resealing every silicone bead.
Typically I think one of the most common maintenance needs on RVs or trailers. So what I've found to be the best, we did some testing up there prior, because the roof on this, although it's pretty new, it is pretty dingy from sitting in the lot, and I've already taken it out camping in wooded areas a few times. The citrus APC at 4:1 was the most effective at cutting through all the organic contaminant and that general dinginess. This is a full PVC roof, and it's that textured PVC. So this did a great job at cutting into that. And then I used it with a combo of our horsehair interior brush, which normally you'd use on interiors, but is also great on rough exterior surfaces, and our boar's hair wash pole head. So this guy here. So both of these, we're up there, and I'll get up there in a minute and show you guys a quick demo of kind of the before and after, because it was pretty impressive. I know that was one of the things I was disappointed. I think I'd taken it out twice before I washed it, and got up there for the first time. I was like, man, it's already dingy.
Yeah.
So even with, I purchased this end of February, just sitting on the lot, things like that. It had already collected some crud up there. So
we're talking about process, and we're talking about tools as well. So
yep.
Both of those tools you mentioned, they're going to be alkaline. They're going to be, you know, tough on grit and grime type of cleaners. They're going to be excellent for organic materials as well, such as that, you know, accumulated pollen, the black streaks, and just, you know, really work well on that silicone, those seals.
Yeah.
But then one of the other tools that we're going to talk about even more, and this is a unique head that we don't talk about a lot. You know, boar's hair is loved and hated in some circles, but with the vast majority of you know, RVs and trailers being fiberglass and having a gel coat, and if you're uncertain, you can check with your manufacturer. Most of them are just dyed gel coats with vinyl graphics on them. Some of them are darker with clear coat on top of them. Mm-hmm. We're not even going to talk about Airstreams. That's a whole different live.
Yeah.
But the boar's hair definitely is going to help the most with organic material, roof being ideal for it. But the extension pull is critical. In particular, if you don't have great balance, don't really want to be up on a ladder testing your core strength,
yeah.
As you wash down below your waist. But obviously, you know, we've got enough reach on this 8-foot, and then it's before we've talked about, you know, getting off the ground on ladders or platforms or anything like that beforehand. So yeah. Good extension pull. The wash mop kit that we sell comes with microfiber heads, and then we do sell this boar's hair head separately. But this is going to be critical to making all your work, your contact washing, even as we talk about different washing methods and tools. It's going to be much easier on something this big.
Yeah, and the length of the boar's hair on the brush does a great job getting around, you know, the awning brackets and all of the protruding surfaces that you have on the outside of an RV or trailer as well. Because at times, you know, a standard wash mitt or wash mop head, you have to be a little more deliberate about, you know, how you move that across the surface to not miss spots. Whereas this, you can move a little faster and trust that it's still going to get into those areas.
Yeah, and not a lot of people are going to scrutinize how clean your roof is. But again, we talked about the, you know, negative effects of not cleaning it being potentially, you know, structural.
That's the big part,
and
for sure.
Affecting your systems. So you might use a rougher material like a boar's hair brush. I wouldn't say like a hard nylon or vinyl bristle would be necessary, but whereas again, that same pull can be adapted for your more sensitive, more customer facing or higher visibility spaces.
Yep.
With a standard microfiber wash mop. In particular, if you have a clear coat or a painted finish, that's going to, you know, you can keep the same pull, switch the head out to serve your different surfaces. So while you get up there, I'm going to talk about ladders.
All right. Cool.
And we'll keep moving. So one of the other elements that we did affix to our wash mop pull is a window cleaning tool. So this we use in interiors and hard to reach areas. You can unscrew it and thread it to the top of the wash mop stick. Get those high windows or a large windshield. In particular, you could wash exterior windows with a microfiber mitt as well. But some of that finishing glass work, you might want to do a specific glass head. So that, or you're cleaning any skylights from the interior of the cabin, you might want something so you don't put a ladder on your floor inside. So while Sam's up there, we're going to talk about ladders really quick, unless you want to talk about what you're going to spray and how long you're going to let it set up before you do that.
Oh yeah, so we're just using the Citrus APC up top here. This is diluted at 4:1. You may or may not be able to see it on the camera right now, but I pre-cleaned the area closest to the ladder just to test out a combination, and found that this was the most effective. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray kind of an adjacent area here, and we'll let it soak for about 2 to 3 minutes before we come in and agitate and then rinse it off.
Okay, so I got 2 minutes to talk about platforms and ladders then. All right, so we talked about the critical need for an extendable pull. That's going to make your on the ground cleaning easier if you can do all your work on the ground. But Have you ever thought about polishing an RV with a machine? I have done it professionally. It takes a lot of work, but it may be required for a reset or a new to you RV and or establishing your base layer protection. There are sprayables that, like ceramic 3-in-1 wax, that are great for that. But even so, you might have some towel work to be done up high with a sprayable that you're not gonna be able to reach, or you're gonna wrap a towel around the head of your wash mop stick and it's gonna fall off, hit the ground. Okay, let's get on a ladder if we can. Now even our base 7-in-1 workbench at this height, it's gonna give me good drying access to this 8-foot tall thing, but a full coach that's 12 or 11 feet, that's gonna be a challenge for it, so I'm still gonna need that pole. But for drying, I definitely have my reach. This is definitely quite stable at this height. If you extend it all the way up, it's not really meant to be stood on, so you might need something taller. We have a lightweight aluminum ladder here with a step platform. Again, really light, can move it quickly. And I can reach my whole area. I've got pretty long arms, so just manage your areas based upon what you can reach and the ladder you've got, how secure you are. The only downfall with this ladder, in my mind, is stability relative to twisting. So you are pretty much squaring it up, which means you're gonna have to reach again, unless you're very flexible and have good core strength, which surprisingly, RV demographics aren't as stereotypical as you'd think. There's lots of young people getting into RVs or living out of these things.
Yeah.
It actually makes great economic sense. You can see the world. But flattening it up, I'm now tightening my reach even more so for the drying element. Or if I were to use an orbital, I just want to limit my reach, the amount of torque that's going to be placed on your shoulders here. So this is convenient in that it's lightweight, can be moved quickly, going to have to work in smaller areas. My favorite is this heavy son of a gun, the Little Giant. Now, obviously height adjustable, you can pretty much walk right up onto the roof of this thing, no problem with it. But what I like is it's super stable. And one of my favorite approaches, because you saw how the legs of that singular dimension ladder kind of pushed me off the edge and limited my reach, is that I can square this thing up flat on this plane and actually straddle it. It's going to be a compromising position for live video, but it's all functional, okay? This is for the sake of education, folks. But that way I can get up here, have a much more stable platform for focused detailing, and then ultimately, or polishing. I want to do all the stuff up top on a ladder, and then I really don't want to be on a ladder for things that I can reach. So I find this to be the most stable, and obviously this one goes up to about 14 feet, so it's huge. The only downside, heavy, but because you can get closer to the side, just by how the ladder is designed, you could drive further, not move the ladder, and go from side to side. So you can mimic your working area a little better with this type of ladder. So a ladder is quite critical, in particular if you're going to polish this thing, which I don't wish upon anybody. You might want to export that work, but you're going to pay for it. But consistent maintenance is easy maintenance, so that's what we always preach. All right, how you looking up there?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a little hot up here, though. You did, I think, also mention, too, the ability to use 2 of the Little Giants and run a piece of scaffolding between them.
I had to check with our company insurance.
We're not going to do that today. But this size trailer doesn't really warrant it. But if you have a big motor coach or big RV where you have lots of height, especially if you're going to be polishing and you don't want to be up and down a ladder the entire time, it might even be worth renting a small scaffolding to help get that job done there.
Yeah, if you got a fully functional farm and a cherry picker, good on you. But the backwoods way of making your own scaffolding is with a couple Little Giants or ladders that are at equivalent height. Big sturdy 8x4, no, not 8x4, big sturdy plank of wood. Again, I'm not endorsing that behavior. I'm saying solve your own problems. Griot's Garage does not have enough insurance for everybody on the other end of this live to fall off of homemade scaffolding. So stick to ladders. You can do it. It's going to take a little bit more time, but Little Giant's my favorite, and then the 7-in-1 is always around. You know, that may be all you need depending on the height of your trailer, how long your arms are, and the nature of the work that you're doing.
You hand me that pressure washer gun?
Oh, geez. Gotta do everything for you. I knew I was just gonna help you wash your RV.
Too far off of here. All right. So we'll pre-rinse this, and then I'll do a quick spot for you guys as well. So even just with the rinse, that 4-to-1 all-purpose cleaner loosens that up a lot. Try not to soak you down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a shower.
I'm not sure if you can see that super well on the camera, but even with that pre-soak and rinse, you know, it got through a lot of the dinginess, not only on the seals, but on this textured PVC surface. And then any area that's really stubborn, and you go ahead and soak it again, and then come in with a brush. So since I don't want to be on my hands and knees or squatting the entire time, I'll use the boar's hair. If you need something a little more aggressive, the handheld horsehair brush is another good option. Like Nick said, you know, you shouldn't really need a nylon or an aggressive bristle, but you could, you know, use a soft nylon brush on this textured material without having to worry. I would just keep it away from any like skylights or translucent vents or anything like that. Any plastic covers that it may scratch. But textured PVC, which has become pretty common up here on RV and trailer roofs, is pretty simple to clean. There's not a lot of damage that you can do to it with a brush.
Well, again, I mean, from an aesthetic perspective, it's one thing. We really talked about the degradation of systems.
Yep.
So nobody's gonna, I mean, if you have a clean roof, most people are gonna say good on you. They're not gonna be looking for swirl marks on something that can't even show them. But to your point, Sam, if you're using a more aggressive bristled brush or agitating, just stay away from those clear lenses. I'd even be careful or look at your manufacturer's recommended cleaning process for a solar panel like that.
Solar panel, definitely stay away from, yeah.
Just because its efficiency will be limited over time by it becoming soiled. But the vast majority of the surface area on that roof is that PVC material, and you're doing it as quick as possible without sacrificing your hands, knees, or back with that mop, even though it looks like you're bending down for some clearance on our lights.
Yeah, trying to avoid the lights there.
All right.
Those are expensive.
So while Sam is finishing that up, and you know he started half of it, which means he'll be up there the rest of the live cleaning it all, as he can't stop when he has started. We'll talk about some other really basic stuff that we can cover just conceptually. You've seen us do this quite a bit before. Wheels and tires. With the exception of like major Alcoas on like big motor coaches that might be polished aluminum, even so, you're gonna have the same elements that you're working against. Road grime, brake dust, and you can treat your wheels and tires pretty typically using your preferred wheel and tire cleaning. You know, you can use our 3-in-1 wheel, tire, and mat cleaner. Or a standard pH neutral wheel cleaner or heavy duty wheel cleaner for the wheel surface, and then our foaming tire cleaner, or again that wheel and tire mat cleaner or a rubber cleaner for your tires. Some RVs do have kind of a rubber surround, and I'd be comfortable with the tire cleaner or a rubber cleaner on those as well if you're cleaning them. To be dressed later for UV protection, keep them like looking nice and black, and then you're just dressing them up and cleaning them. Now the reason I called out Alcoas is because if they are polished aluminum, you want to be sure that they are raw polished aluminum or clear coated. Those will dull over time. Obviously pair those with your favorite wheel cleaning tools based upon the wheel design that you have, but not a lot of rocket science behind cleaning your wheel and tire packages unless you're trying to go the full 9 yards on big, highly polished, bright work. You know, polished aluminum, polished steel wheels, then yeah, metal polish and an orbital might be in your future. But in general, even the chrome E wheels that come on some of these trailers are not going to be actual chrome. So, just follow the manufacturer's guidelines for how you brighten them up. If it's not chrome, if it's, what is the?
PVD.
If it is PVD or, clear coat on top of PVD, you can clean those up after a thorough cleaning and decon with something like a ceramic all-in-one or a mild abrasive. This is, again, if there's paint on top of your wheels that you're trying to make them look even better. But pretty simple system, very similar to your standard wheel, tire, sports car cleaning process. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that.
Well, small to medium trailers like this usually use drum trailer brakes too, so that makes it even easier. You're not going to get very dusty. Obviously, if you have a big motor coach or full-size RV, you probably have discs. So
I'll say some of our best tire dressing customers are guys that drive motor coaches, monster trucks, 18-wheelers. So you got a lot of tires to dress, a lot of tires and wheels to clean if you've got multiple axles. If you've got, a dually tow rig, separate, but same concept. You're going to use a lot of stuff is really the only key there. But good point about the drum brakes.
Another tip that I kind of discovered the first time I washed this thing is make sure you drape your hose over the awning side if you have an awning, because that'll help keep it away from the sides of the trailer RV. Not gonna have to worry about it, scratching the vinyl on the awning. I have seen some awnings that have a hard plastic cover. In that scenario, you may want to lay a towel down somewhere and use that as the point that you bring your hose up onto the roof so that you're not dragging it back and forth.
Yeah, make sure you got plenty of hose, or you position your pressure washer ahead of getting on the roof. I mean, as much as we all like climbing ladders, nothing more frustrating than getting up there and doing that. But you did have a helper down here, so if you're doing this alone, maybe again, climb up the ladder, put all your gear on top, and then get onto the roof separately. But yeah, it's a great point. In particular, if you're washing in a tough spot, a gravel parking lot, or just a muddy part of grass, whatever you're picking up on your hose, you don't want to drag it up your surface. You are starting with the top, but scratches are our major concern.
Yeah, when I was doing it at home by myself, I actually hooked the clip strap from our detailer's bag to my pressure washer gun so I could drape it over my shoulder while I climbed up the ladder.
That's very John Rambo of you.
It was a little sketchy trying to do it in one.
All right, you getting down? We got to get to washing this.
Yeah, let me rinse this off real quick and let's get to it.
Okay. So, I'm going to talk over his rinsing, but next we're going to talk about interior washing. Now, started with the roof. Again, you don't have to do the roof, but we talked about all the benefits of doing it, consistent cleaning being key, and not wanting to do it last and letting all that nasty buildup and runoff streak down your just cleaned sides, front, and back of your RV. So if you intend to clean the roof, do it first. Next up, we do wheels and tires so we don't spray any brake dust, road grime onto the paint system ahead of cleaning it or after cleaning it. And then we can approach the vast majority of the surface area that is the body or structure of the RV. Now, obviously, we talked about the need for an extendable washing tool. That's going to be critical for any contact washing. Also will be critical if you're going to do a traditional hose and bucket method. That is a fine way to wash an RV with the right tools, a ladder, and your desire to hand dry it. However, I think that on something this big, it makes the most sense to have a pressure washer and foaming system. As we know, the power of foam and the spread with which you can get on a foam cannon is going to make this job as easy as possible. You still may need, in a very heavily soiled RV, to do a contact wash after your initial foaming, and depending upon it being routine or reset, it's going to guide what chemicals we use. So, foaming is my preferred methodology, and then I'm going to have a complementary bucket to do the hand washing on a heavily soiled one. If this is a super well maintained RV, say you've got the whole exterior ceramic coating, or last year you put down a great layer of ceramic 3-in-1 wax or ceramic all-in-one before you stored it, hey, cleaning this thing is going to be a lot easier, and your hardest challenge is really going to be drying it, and or if your water isn't clean and chasing spots and drying it really quickly. So that might be where you get your calisthenics out of here. But we are going to fill up a hose and bucket with a traditional car wash soap and just demonstrate that. Basically, the same concept applies to a traditional washing method. Use a high pressure rinse, whether it be hose or pressure washer, to remove excess soiling if you're going to do traditional hose and bucket method, and then premix your car wash concentrate in a bucket using microfiber wash tools. Multiple tools is going to be critical to something this big. And then we're going to follow top to bottom. And as I mentioned, if you can avoid getting on a ladder, great. If you're going to get on a ladder, extension tools such as this wash mop stick will be great for extending your coverage. But if you go too far, you're going to run into the problems that we talked about earlier. So I'm still going to try and do top to bottom in phases, or again, foam about as much as I'm comfortable doing. But foam cannon, we can still do phases as well. We might as well, since we got the surface area.
Yeah, for sure.
So with multiple wash tools, and the ability to rinse it over time and working in deliberate sections, I can use this tool for up high. I can have a spare wash mitt for down low. That might just be my dirty work low tool, and I might actually swap that or do something like rinse it with my hose or pressure washer in between sections before I continue my work. It's just going to depend on how dirty your RV is. Now, let's talk about the type of chemicals. Routine washing. You're going to use a pH neutral product, such as our Brilliant Finish car wash soap, which we just filled up, or our foaming surface wash from a foam cannon, or our Brilliant Finish snow foam. You're going to pre-soak on a dry surface with the foam cannon. We'll show you this in real time. The only reason I'm spending time on what soap to choose, in particular for your first step, is where are you at? Are you pulling this out of storage? You've got a lot of organic material. You've got pollen buildup. You've got, in the Northwest, a lot of our window seams get like a mold, mossy mildew. We might want something in the form of our first cleaning step that actually attacks those organic materials. And in that case, I'm starting with foaming surface prep. And that is going to be an excellent product to keep in your arsenal for your broader bug treatments as well as part of your foaming step, and will definitely attack some of that organic material, degrade it, dissolve it, make it easier to remove, so you're not pushing and rubbing to get rid of that as you wash your RV. Not only is that excess effort and elbow grease, you can do it with a chemical. Let's do it that way. Let's be smart. Let's make it easier.
Such a huge surface. Any way you can make your life easier is going to be a major benefit.
Yeah.
So that really loosens up around all the components that you have on RVs and trailers to knock that stuff out without even having to touch it.
Yeah, we talked about the BOARS hair head definitely being an option, definitely going to cut and move grit. I think the opinion in the industry is that on a sensitive surface, you might actually create some micro marring, but we use it on the roof. That's up to you. A bright white like this, you're not going to see a ton of swirl mark, in particular with the level of soiling we got here. But our wash mop stick kit that we position for RVs and larger vehicles is going to come with 2 of these microfiber wash mop heads. So as I mentioned, lots of tools for a big surface. You can't skimp on tools. Otherwise, you can do things such as kind of excessive or maybe unnecessary rinsing relative to a smaller car, but really focus some high pressure between areas to reset these things as best possible. Maybe even switching your base water if you're doing this in a traditional method.
Yeah, especially if you're doing a really big RV or trailer, definitely swap the water out probably after about half, or be diligent about doing the 2-bucket method. Yeah,
so we've got our stubby gun on this, and we're using a pressure washer. We could use a hose with a high pressure setting to do the initial rinse. I'm going to work the section from the speaker back This is probably going to be the dirtiest part of the RV.
Yep.
So I could start from the front, but I'm right here, and we're going to suggest that wash cleanest to dirtiest, so as not to bring the dirty stuff to the cleanest area is best practice. Right now we're going to demonstrate the different wash methodologies, understanding that typically I'd start from the front and move back.
Yeah.
Likewise, top to bottom. So I'm going to start rinsing for the traditional wash method.
I did get a Coda ceramic 3-in-1 on here when I first bought it, so it should be pretty hydrophobic still. I have some pretty thick road film there in the back. It rained on us a little bit on a drive home from our last trip, so there is some good road film. It's going to take some mechanical washing or agitation to get rid of. But that pre-rinse, unless you're going to be foaming, the pre-rinse is going to be an important step to help get off as much as you can before taking a mitt or wash mop to the surface. So pretty essential if you're not foaming to do that pre-rinse.
Yeah, we definitely had some runoff from the roof and you're rinsing up there, so we've
Yeah.
got kind of a yellowish tint from the APC. But we definitely have some pine needles and some heavier stuff that I wash off. You got some great protection, you've got some tight water beading here, so this is gonna be pretty easy. We'll speak to the storage and long-term steps that you can do
Yep.
after we cover this basic washing. But so that traditional wash, hose and bucket. I've done my high pressure rinse, got a clean microfiber wash pad. I'm gonna start up top. Really, this is a matter of your reach. And I could do top to bottom like that. We typically want to go side to side, so we're still getting the highest level first. But up top, it's gonna be about as clean as can be. Now, all I'm really looking for is, am I still leaving soap on the surface before I come, or if I've got an excessive drag. Super dirty, you can't dunk and replenish this enough. But I'm getting to the point where I can reach, so I'm gonna put this tool away. And that, again, speaks to it being not as heavily soiled, because I'm only doing about the top half of that small section.
Yeah, this one's not too tall either. It's about just over 10 feet. So, big RVs or motor coaches, you're gonna have a little more reach to do there, where you're gonna wanna extend out the wash mop stick. And really having a telescoping pole, whether you're doing a smaller trailer, small to medium, or a huge RV, is gonna be essential so you're not constantly up and down a ladder as you work your way around. Save yourself some time and energy.
The thing about these RVs is all these handy storage places, they just create little spots for dirt to accumulate.
Yep.
And so, again, I'm probably not
there's
perfect on camera here, but in terms of how I would do this, but.
Well, there's lots of door jamb type surfaces. The first time I washed this, I washed the whole thing and then I opened up all the storage compartments and came back with ceramic speed shine, I think is what I used when I did it. You could use spray on car wash, rinseless wash, regular speed shine, any of the above, and just hit those areas and wipe them out, because you do get some dirt buildup under the gaskets in all those storage compartments and all the different openable areas.
Yeah, so again, if I've got super soft water and I've just washed that surface, I'm just gonna rinse that immediately. And of course, Sam has great protection on this thing. You can see how little water is left on it. I did hit a little vent there, so maybe use some caution for any of the open vents and don't camp on the seams and push some water in there. But to your point, probably opening this whole thing up and cleaning and wiping it down either way.
Yeah.
So at this point, if I've got super hard water, I'm probably trying to dry this.
Yeah.
But given that we know that soft water in the shade, I've got water on here to indicate it's still wet. I'm gonna check my wash tools, in particular that lower one, give it a thorough wring, if not kind of a excessive rinse with the wand itself. just to blow out anything that's pine needle or heavy that I picked up, ring it again, and continue. So that's a pretty, labor-intensive, deliberate process. But by picking these weigh stations, I've got, easy areas to work on. I've got opportunities to check my washing tools, doing it pretty deliberately. Let's show you with a foam cannon.
Yeah, foam cannons, as with any vehicle, is the funnest way to do it, and definitely going to add some efficiency to the process and some cleaning ability. The first time I washed this, it didn't have any protection on it from the dealer, so I just hit it with foaming surface prep. They had dealer washed it because it got towed into that dealer. Of course, as dealer washes go, it wasn't a very good one.
Dealer installed scratches.
Yeah. Luckily, didn't notice any bad scratches, but definitely needed to wash it again, even right after they washed it. I think my wife was giving me a hard time about critiquing their wash job.
Yeah. Would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, sure.
So again, I kind of spoke to the difference of maintenance, pH neutral. You've got protection on the surface. You're just cleaning it up after a road trip. Reset, probably something alkaline like foaming surface prep, where the ability to cover a broad surface and let the chemical do the work to attack some of those organic hang-alongs. Foaming surface prep, if you've got protection down, probably don't want to do surface prep every time. It can diminish that protection because of its alkalinity. But it'll make quicker work of a very dirty RV, and we've talked about that in our foaming coaching, which is on our YouTube channel many times before. So if you want more clarification between the chemicals, go check out one of those. If you're still with us, be sure to like, follow, subscribe. We've got so much information on this YouTube channel. And hopefully our Griot's Garage employee is participating in the chat. You guys are submitting tons of questions, so we have a lot to answer on No Questions Left Behind.
The end of the week.
All right, get after it.
Get to foaming. We'll do bottom up as we normally would, and I'll just go from where Nick finished to the door.
Yeah, and I mean, again, in a controlled environment, there's no argument saying you can't do that to the entire RV.
Yeah, for sure.
In particular, if you're doing a really heavy pre-soak with foaming surface prep, I might douse the entire side of the RV knowing that I've got a subsequent contact step.
Yep.
But I still think picking your areas is a great way to be deliberate and not miss zones, and manage your wash tools, the stuff that's actually touching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure some of you guys might be asking about the speakers. All external, RV or trailer speakers, if they're factory installed, they're going to be marine grade, so they can get wet. There's no concern. I'm not going to sit here and blast water at them, but just a quick pass over them to rinse them off is going to be more than enough. You don't have to do that.
I'm going to do it. I know you would.
Yeah, I mean, normally when I did this the first time, I did the wheels and tires first, as I always do. Even before I got on the roof. Yeah, just like you said.
We're waiting for some foam to set
everybody.
up. Yeah, I know.
Just reminding everybody.
We got a sequence of things, okay, guys? But ultimately, hey, if you're watching this and you're planning to do this yourself, you're a step ahead of a lot of other folks, right?
Yeah.
So do it the way that makes you most comfortable. Take as much risk or as little risk as you want with regards to homemade scaffolding, the type of ladders you're going to do. But this is, I really think that foaming is one of the biggest value propositions for foam is large format vehicles like this.
100%.
So yes, I would never do wheel and tire, post cleaning the exterior in general. If you drove it in, your wheels are hot and your tires are hot, fine, wait till the end, just keep in mind, you might have some additional rinsing and drying to do on your cleaned surface. But.
Yeah, not the end of the world, and the external fenders on this going to make it easy to keep water off the body, even if it was already dry and you
so I just used
like
our
that.
wheel, tire, and mat cleaner, hit the tire first so I can let that eat away at any of the mold release, UV inhibitor, and then from the cleaning process, I need it to do a lot less work on the wheel surface. I just need some soap for lubrication for the cleaning.
Yeah.
And I'll do the Whereas I applied the chemical to the tire and then wheel, I'll clean the wheel face and then do the tire. So I got a lot less tire to clean.
Yeah, if you're doing prep for storage or your RV or trailer is going to be sitting for a while until your next trip, a really inexpensive and efficient way to keep your tires from browning and keep your wheel and tire package nice and clean. It's just an inexpensive set of covers. They're usually not too terrible as far as price goes. Get it clean, throw them on there, and they'll help prevent tire blooming that can be common with prolonged UV exposure of
and rot too. That's like a lot of RVs
sure.
that sit a lot. You get some cracking, and
yep.
These things don't come out all year long unless you're living in them.
Yeah.
So just make sure to check your tires, tire pressures, all that stuff. Again, we're not RV mechanics. We're not going to speak to all the systems. We're just going to make it look pretty.
Yeah, but on a big RV or a heavy fifth wheel, your tires aren't going to be cheap either. So making sure you take care of them, keep a good dressing on them, like our ceramic tire dressing, and then keep them covered when that thing's in long-term storage. Unless, of course, you have it inside, then you don't have to worry about that problem. But Nick's being too kind.
Giving you the 5-minute
my whole wheel for me.
Process here, okay? And I'm breaking my own rule. I started pretty deliberately at the stem to start, but now I'm just in your way as we go on this process.
Those are at least pretty easy wheels to clean. Like Nick was talking about big Alcoas earlier. Sometimes those can be a little more onerous to clean when you have all the holes around a traditional Alcoa. Or
a nice flat surface for a lot of it.
Design.
But yeah, you got their 22s, 20s, and then you've got the finish element of them that can be frustrating.
Want to be very, very safe. And yeah, a lot of big RVs or fifth wheels, you are going to have those wider or deeper dish lipped chrome or polished wheels that you are going to want to be a little more cautious on. I'll usually spray a wheel cleaner on those, let it dwell, as a pre-soak, come in and rinse, try to get as much of the brake dust and grit off as possible, reapply your wheel cleaner, and then agitate, if you're doing a set of chrome or polished aluminum wheels. So I'll go ahead, we'll rinse that first, and then I'll hit the body.
Yeah, one of the other things, we probably applied that foam about 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
With your conditions in mind, we typically recommend about 5 to 10 minutes for foaming surface wash, foaming surface prep. The longer dwell time and the better the foam lays down based upon the cleanliness of your water. The more chemical work, the more softening of the surface dirt or above surface contaminants is going to be done. There's more working time as well, which could allow you to go do a bigger area. But if you are fighting the sun, keep in mind your dwell time is going to be shortened if there's temperature involved. So shorten that and just be aware. If you start to see some drying happening, don't let that dry. It's just going to create some soap scum, and particularly with a pH neutral one. But foaming surface prep with its alkalinity, even more critical that you don't let it dry on the surface. But I think we've got about 5-7 minutes now, so if you're ready to rinse, I'd rinse it.
A quick shout out to Wheel Tire Mat Cleaner. So always so satisfying to rinse off. Alright. Quick pass over those at the top. Being that this is such a tall surface and it's not filthy dirty right now, I'm going to just rinse from the top down and disobeying our bottom up pre-soak rinse theory. But this, that surface not having a lot of road film since it's in front of the tire and having a good coat of ceramic 3-in-1 on it, that's, I would say, 95, if not 100% clean.
Yeah, that's the key. Having great protection and consistent washing. Again, you might be able to foam the entire side of that RV, allow the foam to work, and a high pressure rinse is going to get it to a much better state. And then you might have to do some hand washing on the low panels, which then of course is going to make a aesthetic difference. You're going to have to wash that.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Make a collective decision about contact wash or touchless. touchless is probably going to be easiest done right after you've gotten back from a road trip. The bugs haven't had a chance to settle or bond.
Yep.
And ideally you have that base layer protection beforehand. It's also worth mentioning, you've got our snubby
Yep.
on there, but actually a longer lance in this situation might be nice to be able to get a little bit higher pressure versus if you're a little shorter and using a stubby, you're asking that pressure to be applied at a lot further distance. So you might want to affix a longer gun for your RV washing. Particularly, you're not really space constrained.
Yeah, or use a wander lance, especially if you're doing something taller than this. I know, like when I've helped wash our events rig, it's the water from a snubby. Even if you're tall, it's losing most of its effectiveness by the time it hits the top surface of something that's 10, 12 feet or taller. So really, a wander lance is going to be a great tool to help get up a little higher.
So again, if we had done that foaming soak and saw that, oh, there's still a heavy amount of soil, we're going to have to follow with a contact wash, in which case, again, we're going to essentially follow what we did with the first step and then rinse once we've contact washed. Again, lots of wash tools is going to give you different areas. The intermittent rinsing, particularly just excessive rinsing of those tools on this big of an area, going to be great. If you're doing it, got time between it, you might be able to stop what you're doing, do a thorough cleaning of your tools in the sink, reset your soap and water bucket, and start over on the other side once the sun passes over. So don't rush it. We want to talk about sprayable sealants in application and why this is another really cool thing, or are you gonna foam some more?
Oh, well, I don't think we necessarily need to contact wash that. I mean, normally a typical wash process, like we've said, you do your pre-soak, your rinse, refoam, and then agitate. I don't think there we really need to, just for time's sake. So we can go ahead and move on to the foaming sealants.
So presuming that we work section by section, get to fully clean and still wet RV, and we've got those conditions to work with, one of the best ways to keep the RV cleaner longer, make it easier to clean the next time, and make it easier to dry, in terms of that being one of the most challenging parts of this routine cleaning process, is a sealant. And if you can foam that sealant on, oh my gosh, you're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
And that, with routine application, can almost marginalize the need for a strong base coat. Am I ever going to argue against a strong base coat? No. But you can get pretty good protection if you're washing this pretty routinely. Now, I don't know anybody who's washing their RV once a week or once every 2 weeks.
Hopefully not.
There's a broader argument to be made. But if nothing but for the benefit of leaving less water on the surface and making it easier to dry, do these foaming or sprayable sealants become a great idea.
Yeah, and I think even our foaming polygloss or our ceramic wash and coat, those are both great options. I would say if heat and direct sun are an issue for you, I'd probably stick with polygloss just to avoid it drying. I've used ceramic wash and coat, and I just did small sections. I think it was about 75, but I was out of direct sunlight. I just did small sections, made sure to rinse it quickly, and I didn't run into any problems. But these are both great ways to add protection, like Nick was saying. And this time of year, if you're going on adventures and taking it on trips pretty frequently, even if maybe once a month, or even if you only get one in at the beginning of summer, one at the end of summer, protection from specifically wash and coat is going to last you 2 to 3 months, I would say, on a vehicle that you're not doing regular washes in between frequently. And then polygloss, you're going to get at least 1 to 2 months, depending on the environment and what you're doing in between those washes.
Yeah, presuming you're RVing in good weather. And the only wrinkle is if you're in a rainstorm on an interstate, and the amount of soiling and water exposure that will accelerate and or abrade that protection away. But even so, I'd rather start with this on it than have that happen and have to clean up after that.
Great trip-to-trip protection.
Yeah. So with polygloss, again, temperature sensitivity, I'm definitely erring on the side of polygloss. Temperature insensitivity or great ideal conditions and or ceramic base coat, I'm going ceramic wash and coat.
Yep.
And the goal here would be to spray these on, let them react, and then rinse them off.
Yep.
Revealing, again, a reaction that'll drive water off the surface, making your cleaning easier, keeping your RV cleaner longer. So for polygloss, we're gonna foam it on the entirety of the clean surface and then allow it to dwell for 1 to 3 minutes. We're gonna get a really exaggerated, what we call like mushroom or jellyfish effect. Know that it's reacted in that 1 to 3 minutes, rinse it off.
Yeah, and if you're new to the foaming system, we're using our BOSS foaming system liquids in the BOSS foam cannon with metering tips, so we don't have to pre-dilute. You can also pre-dilute these liquids in a traditional cannon for this exact scenario. Another one of my favorite functions of polygloss or wash and coat for a vehicle that's not heavily soiled. Like honestly, this trailer was probably right in the ballpark of being able to do a mechanical wash over the top of polygloss or wash and coat, which on a vehicle this large helps condense your process, reduce the amount of steps you're doing, and really save you a lot of time. So that's a great approach as well. You'd still want to do ideally a pre-rinse or pre-soak and rinse, but then you can foam this on, agitate right over it, rinse it back off. And reduce the amount of steps that you're needing to do, as long as it's not heavily soiled. I think we've, again, just to speak to the amount of material we have on our YouTube channel about our foaming system in particular, I mean, that's 2/3 of the RV I just covered in, maybe 10 seconds. Yeah. And you guys will see the results in terms of the amount of water that will drive off. But for more in-depth foaming, we have very recently done a YouTube live about foaming, the benefits, the differences between the products, the scenarios in which you would use them, the shortcuts you can take. Ultimately, foaming something this big with a foam cannon and a pressure washer is the biggest shortcut you can take. Yeah, yeah. It's just gonna spread the soap around and let chemicals do a lot of the work for you on huge surface areas. And then the benefit of a product like this is going to be so dang obvious so quickly. So drastically speeds it up. We've started to see these peaking, right? And we call them jellyfishes. So it's been just probably about 2 minutes now. We've got some heavier foam in the center, so we're not quite seeing it, but it's running down as it does on vertical surfaces. But we're starting to see it, pop up, make itself known. So we know it's reacting. Definitely can see it down low where the surface was probably hungrier for that protection as well, just because of how water and road grime kind of splashes up. So from this point, we assumed a clean surface because we cleaned it. We're just going to rinse top to bottom, and then we can go for drying, and we'll talk about a long-term protection and go from there. Trying. Yeah, if it's been a while since you've washed your RV or trailer, extending the awning while you're washing isn't a bad idea as well, so you can get the awning arms, get those nice and clean, as dirt does tend to build up in there. And then I know, over the course of trips in wooded areas, you'll tend to get pine needles and debris stuck on your awning when you roll it back up, specifically if you're in a wooded area, you get some debris that drops on, it rains, that debris sticks, and then you have to roll your awning in. So extending the awning and giving it a good pressure rinse can be a great process to do during a wash or periodic washes. I wouldn't necessarily do it every single time, but good to do every other trip or every 3 trips, specifically if you're camping in wooded areas like a lot of our campgrounds up here are. The thing I love about polygloss and ceramic wash and coat for the same reason, as you spray them across the broader surface, they're going to protect almost all the exterior surfaces. Even stuff that you wouldn't think to wax or protect, they're going to give some water repellency, some protection. So, just all the plastic and or rubber materials. This I think is metal. I wouldn't necessarily take this and
polish it or put wax on it like I would a paint job. So
Yeah.
it's a nice little boost to that protection. Even the wheel wells got a little bit of protection from that. So again, we had good protection on here. You can see from the water behavior, just not a lot of water hanging on. Now, if your RV is clean and wet and you've got steady sheets of water, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to dry it. Polygloss is gonna change your life.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna leave so much less water on, make your drying so much easier. But that was so quick, right? And we could do that for the entire side of the RV pretty easily. Again, it's gonna definitely boost the protection in between more substantial washes. Great step to do ahead of a road trip, and then make drying it after this wash not much easier.
Yeah.
So
easily my favorite way to do it. You know, it's going to be safe for all the exterior surfaces you're going to see on an RV or trailer. And like Nick said, you're getting protection on the glass, the speakers, the metal components, all the little covers, you know, the outlet covers, the water intake covers, all the spots that tend to degrade the fastest and you have to replace the quickest because they dry out or crack or break from UV exposure and the elements. Getting that protection on all of those areas is going to vastly improve the life of them and make your life easier as well.
Yeah.
So
this is the first time I've actually needed a ladder.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
it's great to have a helper. But just these XL PFM drying towels with so little water to compete against, we're going to get some great coverage and drying out of it. Yeah, really just same kind of sections. It's based upon my reach and
drying without a ladder, a platform is tough. We don't yet have a drying tool for the telescoping pole.
Yeah, if you can rig something up, or if you guys have some tools that you use that aren't necessarily meant for this, leave them in the comments. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to take a look at them, engineer a better solution, make your life a little easier. But definitely can be done with the things that we sell, for sure. Much easier than you've probably done them before. So, and foam tools, pressure washers, man, it feels like they were designed with this in mind first.
Absolutely.
Even as much utility as they have for routine washing on standard size vehicles as well. All right, so let's quickly cover kind of paint restoration or finish restoration and base layer protection, Sam. And obviously, it starts with what we just did, which is exterior washing. Yep. Getting rid of all the above surface contaminants. And then we're gonna treat this pretty much like any other paint decon correction and or protection step. We're gonna have to decontaminate this. Now, if you're in an RV, hopefully you're not taking RV trips to industrial areas where there's a lot of rail dust and
might be driving through them though to get to your destination.
Yeah, so you can always have the option of a chemical decon. We've kind of accomplished that if you're doing a full reset with foaming surface prep. That's going to decon the organic contaminants that are embedded on the surface. It'll do a really good job there. The inorganic contaminants such as ferrous metals, iron particles, any fallout, iron and fallout remover could be foamed on this entire vehicle. And allow it to do its work to dissolve those ferrous metal and get a big bloody RV. Yep. Or in the case of, hey, this thing has good protection or it looks really good, I just want to lay down a strong base layer, let's go straight to clay or decon. Yeah. Or mechanical decon. So we could refoam this with pH neutral soap such as foaming surface wash or brilliant finish snow foam, and use the lubrication provided from that foam with a tool like our fine surface prep mitt, which gives us the most surface area of any of our tools. Second would be the surface prep towel. We're gonna decon top to bottom. You can also use speed shine to keep it a little bit more manageable. Yep, yeah, if you're doing it in a hotter climate or hotter temperature, speed shine. But yeah, either one of those methods, cover manageable sections and then work your way through. The surface prep mitt is going to be one of our best tools just to cover ground faster. We also have the surface prep pads that you can put on an orbital if you have something that's heavily contaminated that you need to blow through quickly. Obviously that's going to be a little more labor intensive, but
getting up and down a ladder with one of these isn't too difficult and gets the job done pretty quickly.
Yeah, so what I like about these tools is the flexibility of lubricant, being the foaming or the car wash soap that you can mix in a bucket, and or speed shine. And then when you're looking at how these things are designed with a lot of nubby elements that jut out across the surface, which is not typical of a lot of cars. On a hood you might have your windshield washer. You got some sharp edges on some of these storage units that a traditional yellow or malleable clay bar is going to catch in those. Plus, you're limited to the surface area of about your hand with that patty. So I think those surface prep tools are the best tools for large surface area applications. In fact, they're ideal.
Yeah, it's what I would always use. Highly recommend, or most highly recommend of all of our decontamination tools is the surface prep mitt.
Can be used on glass as well for these exterior windows.
Yep.
So just talking through, again, we've got YouTube Live specifically on decon if you want to dive deeper into that. But
yeah, going to be the same process as a normal vehicle. Luckily, in my case, this thing didn't have any noticeable contamination on it after the first time I washed it. So I went straight to ceramic 3-in-1. So that, if you have a new RV or trailer, definitely check it because you don't want to have to decon that whole surface if you don't need to. So make sure you have a good clean section of the exterior finish. Use the baggie trick, where you put a plastic bag over your hand to feel all of the fine contaminants that may be built up, and then determine whether or not you need to do that. Don't necessarily just dive in if you have something new. If you have something that's not new and you've never done that, odds are you're going to benefit from it pretty tremendously before you apply a protectant. So even on such a big surface, it's going to take some time, but you're really going to get a ton of benefit before you lay down a durable base coat of protection.
And, really, I think just understanding that there's more in-depth coaching on all of these specifics, as we mentioned on our YouTube channel. We're just showing the application on the RV, and I think we've got some of our favorite products that we'll speak to and the why behind it. So first and foremost, decon, and if we're going to lay down protection, and we've used something like a speed shine as our lubricant or a quick detail spray, we're going to want to strip that with our foaming surface prep. So that is an additional step that you wouldn't necessarily have to do if you used a pH neutral car wash soap, but it's still best practice if you're trying to get durability. And doing something of this size and laying down protection, it takes a lot of time. So durability, in my mind, is king. And so we are going to opt for our ceramic products as opposed to natural carnauba products. And really, between two of my favorites, we have ceramic 3-in-1 wax, which is the sprayable product, which, again, spray it on a section, work section by section, top to bottom, and don't over-apply. Again, more coaching on that on our YouTube channel. Or if you've got a darker finish, and you're starting to see some wear and tear, or your light white is starting to oxidize, look a little chalky, you're probably going to have to introduce a correction element. If it's not fully gone, one of my favorite products to use on gel coats, this is boats and fiberglass and RVs, is our ceramic all-in-one. That will definitely have the correction capability to remedy swirl marks, brighten up some, not fully toast, chalky white oxidation where you might be in for a multiple step correction process with more aggressive abrasives followed by protection. But ceramic all-in-one now is going to be the one to remedy swirl marks. That is ideally machine applied, and with this much surface area, I'm not recommending you apply it by hand.
No.
You're going to have a very, very bad tennis elbow. You'll retire real early from RV detailing.
That's a lot of elbow grease.
But I will state that the same thing applies. You've got large surface area. You've got height. You've got, trying to maintain a flat pad surface around that area. That's why we spoke about ladders early on. You're going to get some shoulders. You're going to get some core as you apply pressure and maintain an even pad rotation around this. But that product is so excellent that you aren't going to have to do 6 passes in a specific spot. About 3 to 5 is going to give you a great result. and then wipe the excess away, allow 12 to 24 hour cure. It's going to be the same cure time with the sprayable as well. And you're going to get an excellent base layer, which should make any subsequent cleaning really, really easy. So you can do that, before you head out for the season, knowing that all the bugs and all the crap's going to accumulate. You want to make it easy to wash. Or after the season's over, deep clean, put it away clean, pull it out protected. In particular, if you can store it covered or have a cover for or store it indoors, cover it. Or if you have to store it outdoors, that's at least going to prevent the oxidation from being as aggressive the next time you go to prep your RV for liftoff. Yeah,
definitely keep it in good shape longer. 2 great pad options. If you're just working on something light, really mild oxidation or no oxidation, you just want to brighten things up with the all-in-one, the orange foam pad. And then if you're up against, slightly heavier oxidation, I would say, if you're working on severe oxidation, you're going to need to step up to like fast correcting cream with the white foam or with a fiber pad. But ceramic all-in-one and the white foam is a pretty capable combo as well. So that's a good one to test out if you're kind of not sure if you need to go, to a multi-step. It's not terrible, but does have some of that chalkiness. Ceramic all-in-one and the white foam will get you pretty respectable, cutting ability to remove that chalkiness and get you back to where you need to be.
Yeah, and obviously big surface area, you're going to consume a lot of pads or use a lot of pads throughout the process. Using more pads will ensure consistent results as you work your way around. You're going to have to reapply as you get to section by section. So again, go back to our polishing basics to understand the coaching there, but pads are going to get consumed, in particular if you're running them into sharp edges, not being disciplined. One nice thing is you probably only need 1 polisher because you're not going to deal with a ton of tight spaces. So that's great. And I would suggest that you're going to get a workout, and if you were going to do half the RV on one day and have the conditions to come back and do decon and correction on the other side, you can clean your pads overnight so you don't have to buy so many pads. Let them dry out overnight. But
definitely set aside some time. Don't expect to get that done in 2 or 3 hours.
I think we would do 2-day jobs with 2 people on some RVs just to be thorough, and we'd also have to do the interior as well. I will say a couple really quick things to hit on before we let all the questions that have come in during this live fill in all the gaps that we might have missed. Base layer protection, one of the best things you can do. For the vast majority of your exterior surface, in this case, a gel coat, fiberglass, we're going to put ceramic protection on it, whether it be a sprayable for a defect-free or minimal defect surface without oxidation, or an all-in-one step. Like if you're going to machine polish this whole thing, I hope you can do it in 1 step. It's going to make it look a whole lot better. But if you're reviving a 1970s Winnebago, you probably got your work cut out for you. Glass is another one. You can polish that glass, put glass sealant on it, and that will be a great thing to make ease of maintenance longer. And then that being your standard, the only thing you can do is some extra prep ahead of a road trip. But if those bases are covered, all your glass, including your windshields, covered with glass sealant, your base layer protection is going to be pretty good to make sure that bugs are easy to remove. But you can do additional steps, such as your leading edges, applying bug barricade, in particular if you're pushing a big square block through some air across the interstates. In the summertime, you're going to catch a lot of bugs.
A lot of bugs.
So bug barricade is an easy one. Glass sealant being another one. And if you're washing ahead of your road trip, maybe a quick drying aid with ceramic speed shine or rinse aid with ceramic 3-in-1 just to boost your protection ahead of that. Make the surface a little slicker. That's always going to be helpful ahead of your road trip.
And then a few of the more common specialty cleaners you're going to want for RVs and trailers. Of course, tar and sap remover. If you're out on the interstate a lot and or camping in campgrounds that have trees, you're likely going to run into tar and sap. So making sure you treat all of those areas. This is a great one to take up on the roof.
And or road construction season in the summer. Hot environments, fresh tar, Very common.
Yeah, I get that, in the wheel wells and back up behind the wheels. Track spray, you're not taking your RV or trailer on the track, but
you might take it to the track.
Yeah, very true. And track spray or bug and smudge remover are both very effective at removing bugs. So those are both
and black
great
streaks
solutions.
too.
And black streaks, yep. And then convertible top cleaner is probably the last one to briefly touch on. It's a great way to clean an awning, whether it be more of like a canvas type material on an older RV or trailer, or the more modern vinyls that are used for awnings. Convertible top cleaner. Obviously, you're going to need a telescoping pole to help scrub that in, and this isn't going to spray 8 feet out onto an awning, so you may spray it directly onto your wash mop pad or your brush to get the awning that way as well.
I think this being a live, we will put a list and pin the comment below the video, some of the critical cleaners, because we didn't talk about interior. But there's a grab bag of things that I would keep with me.
Definitely.
And definitely with the advent of tar and sap remover and track spray, the towels you would want to use with those to prevent damage. So we'll list some of the products that we use today in the top comment below this live by the time it goes live. I'm certain there's going to be a ton of specific questions and comments that come through the live chat. So thank you in advance for tuning in, guys, and hopefully you get all your questions answered in this live event and or by going and searching our library of past instructions with some of the products we referenced. Get a chance to win a giveaway if you were participating, and if you have a question we didn't answer, we'll catch you in No Questions Left Behind. So thanks, guys. If it's summertime and you're enjoying your RV, keep that thing clean. Hopefully we helped you do that. Have fun in your garage.
Have fun in your garage.
Well, it's a bright sunny morning, we're ready to roam. We're packing up our camp, we're gonna make it our home. My wife brought the kitchen, the kids brought the zoo. I swear we got more luggage than a circus crew. But we ain't going nowhere till this camper shines. Gotta scrub every inch, make it clean like a dime. The kids are getting restless, but we gotta take it slow. Can't hit the road till this rig's good to go. The dog's looking guilty, his tail between his legs. He just tossed his cookies all over the pegs. Grab the mop and the cleaner, gotta get it out fast before that stain says gotta make it the pass. But we ain't going nowhere till this camper shines. Gotta scrub every inch, make it gleam like a dime. The kids are getting restless, but we gotta take it slow. Can't hit the road till this rig's good to go. The weatherman's calling for rain on our parade, so I'm laying down ceramic like a pro in a trade. Got my sponge and my wax, my buffer in hand. Gonna make this baby sparkle like a diamond in the sand. My wife's packed the wardrobe, we're ready for a year. We got more outfits than a Broadway premiere. The kids are in the back playing games on their screens, while I'm out here scrubbing, fulfilling my dreams. But we ain't going nowhere till this camper shines. Gotta scrub every inch, make it gleam like a dime. The kids are getting restless, but we gotta take it slow. Can't hit the road till this rig's good to go. So here we all wash in, and singing this tune. By the time we're done, it'll be way past noon. But when we hit that highway with a sparkle in our eyes, we'll be the cleanest camper under those wide open skies. But we ain't going nowhere till this camper shines. Gotta scrub every inch, make it clean like a dime. The kids are getting restless, but we gotta take it slow. Can't hit the road till this rig's good to go.